got an awesome ladder at least.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Like a freaking...
That makes me want to smoke just so I have a reason to carry that around.
I know. I have a bunch of... Actually, I didn't have it with me. The next time we come out, I'll bring some.
Okay. Oh, before we get started, I'll probably cut this out just so I'm not talking about like departments.
Right. Okay, so you're recording this, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so me and Amber are laughing because... Oh, shoot. Hold on. I've Jimmy rigged this. I'm just waiting for the whole thing to go that way.
I've got my iPad on a shoebox, and I've got a second camera angle with my phone, and it's being held up by my little like Master Chief controller holder.
Oh, that's funny. So when you were sworn in, right? It was like it was on social media. Did you know that?
Oh, yeah.
Did you read some of the comments?
No, I didn't read the comments.
Oh,
no.
My God, Cole, dude. I didn't even see. So your family, right? And like you're my brother, and so like I'm just proud of you. Like I was excited that you got that. Like you know what I mean. You've been wanting something like that for a long time, and then, of course, because you live conservative, right? The first comment I see, what the hell's a homeless liaison? I was like, oh no, oh no. This is what our tax dollars are. I was like, oh my gosh. I told Amber, I said, you know what? I'm going to ask Cole on the podcast, what is an actual liaison of the homeless? Does it do? What does the job entail? Because I don't even know, but I'm thinking like those people without even knowing or asking or getting the information are just going to judge like, oh, it's a waste of money. Why do we have somebody even giving them time?
Right.
You know? So I thought, what is it? It's got to be, I don't know. See, that's the thing. I'm excited for you. You got a job. You're getting paid.
Right.
I don't live there anymore. Not my taxes.
There was a guy at work today. I was like, he's like, what do you do? It's like, well, you know, like, and the hard part is like right now, I kind of get to decide what the program's going to look like, and I'll be defining my role and responsibilities as it goes on. So, you know, the basic answer is to be an advocate for homeless people and making sure that they're connected with services. So, you know, we've got a shelter opening up soon. Sounds like it might get a little delayed, but it's going to be opening up in town soon, which means there'll be, I want to say it's 80 new beds for a homeless shelter, which is great. But what that means is right now, all of the illegal camping that's going on in like city parks and all this property that the city has, that there's, you know, ordinances, you can't just camp there indefinitely. I think it was the Ninth Circuit Court said that you can't actually enforce that. You can't make people leave if they don't have somewhere to go. So right now, because we don't have a shelter, we can't kick them out of their camps.
Was that California?
Yeah. So once they've got a place to go, then we can start enforcing that stuff and taking the parks back and cleaning them up. And so the goal is once that opens up, I'll be part of the enforcement function of telling people that they have to leave. And, you know, I did some of that at my previous job, and it's usually not that big of a deal. Like, as long as you're respectful, they're respectful, they understand the rules. The difficulty will be that, like, they've just kind of been used to being able to stay here. Well, now they've got a shelter. So you can't say, no, I don't want to go to the shelter. I want to stay here. It's like, well, you can't stay here. This is in violation of this ordinance. Now you have alternative shelter available. You have to go there. So part of my job will be the enforcement and making sure that they're aware of what the rules are, and now that they have to seek that shelter, and then coordinating with counselors and service providers at the shelter, going into homeless camps and contacting people. And part of my vision for it is just kind of like getting to know the people who are homeless. Because a lot of people have this idea that they're just being like bussed in from out of town, or everybody's just traveling to California because that's where it's cool to be homeless. And there are some people who do that. Like I met a guy who he was homeless in Boston, technically born in Reading, but since he was like 2 months old, him and his entire family had always lived in Boston. And then he became addicted to drugs, homeless in Boston, gets contacted by the police out there. And they literally, like, according to him, they put him on a flight to Reading. It's like, oh, you're from Reading. It's like, well, no, I was born there, but I'm from here. It's like, nope, you're from Reading. Put him on a plane and shipped him out.
We don't want to get out of here.
Yeah. So that's like, I think that's, I don't know. That's the perception, is that it's mostly people like that, but it's actually not. It's like over 70% of the homeless people in your community are from your community. So my goal is to get to know people, like, why are they homeless? What's keeping them from being homeless? And the majority, like, drug addiction has a lot to do with why people stay homeless, but it doesn't necessarily, it's not always the cause of why they became homeless in the first place. So getting them in touch with the right services, if they qualify, getting them into transitional housing, if they have family somewhere else, like if they are, from Sacramento and they have family there somewhere, they would have a place to stay. They just can't get there. Then there's programs to help pay for their transportation. As long as they have someone on the receiving end to help them when they get there, then we can make that transition for them. And then long term, I think I would like to see like a tiny home community. I know there's a handful of cities in Texas who have done that. One did it exclusively for homeless veterans. They built a tiny home community and got every homeless veteran off the streets. So I'd like to see something like that. And then when there's camp cleanups, so, after we move everybody out, they can't be here anymore. They move into the shelter. There's typically a lot of trash left over. So the sheriff's department will come in with work release guys to clean up the camps. And if there's still people in the camps when they're doing that, then I need to be there to make sure that their rights are protected and that we're not throwing away their personal belongings.
Oh,
so it's, I don't know, like at the last department, it was a lot of like always being the bad guy. And I still most of the time had a pretty good rapport with everybody because you treat people like people and it's not that big of a deal, but you're still going into where they're trying to make their home and kicking them out all the time. So I'm glad that I'll be in this position to actually get to do something about a solution instead of just like, hey, you can't be under this bridge. And then tomorrow I'll go to the next bridge and see the same people. Hey, you can't be under this bridge either. Now I'll actually get to participate in long-term planning and coming up with solutions.
Do you want to know what I thought when you said the thing that stuck out to me on that whole thing was and I agree with you, is making sure their rights are protected, right? Mm-hmm. That their things aren't getting stolen. And it's almost, I'm not saying all of them, it's almost comical in a way that they're hiring someone, not just for that, but that's part of your job, right? Is to protect their rights and make sure the stuff that they have isn't stolen. Mm-hmm. But the counter argument would be,
where'd they get that stuff?
Where are they getting it from? And I would argue that there's a lot of things left that are stolen, mm-hmm. vandalized, cars broken into, things are stolen, right? Yeah. People are frustrated that nothing's being done about it, and yet we have a liaison that's now going to protect their rights to their property.
Right. Where's my liaison when my bike got stolen?
But the flip side, that's the argument. Those people that on that Facebook post or whatever. That's. Right. But I think by you actually being an advocate and telling them, hey, listen, we're getting some shelter here. We're getting some structure for you. Mm-hmm. Because all those people can complain, oh, homeless is crazy. This is, society's horrible. Look what's going on in California, blah, 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 this, whatever. But the reality is it's well, what do you want done about it, right? Well, this is right. The answer. The answer is this position to help those people. Hey, listen, we got a place for you, right? So you're off the streets, not stealing, not destroying property, not making a mess of a public park. because that park's for everyone, not just you guys.
Right.
No one wants to go there. Like, why would I want to go there? Obviously, a lot of homeless. There's drug issues, not all of them, but I don't want my kids playing in a park where there's homeless people or there's drug issues. Like, it just doesn't. You know what I mean? And I think that the bigger picture is that the tax dollars, people need to give it a chance. Like,
right.
You know what I mean? I think, like, what's the harm in that? Because it's just getting, the problem's getting worse. So it's
right. So, like, whatever we're doing now isn't working. Like, so, yeah, let's try that. Especially for California, who spends hundreds of millions of dollars every year for these, like, you know, humanitarian think tanks to figure out the problem, and nothing's changing. Like, so I've been doing a lot of research, and it shows, like, especially when it comes to these, like, tiny home communities, crime in cities that set up these tiny home facilities and communities, their overall crime is going down anywhere from like 10 to 40% after a year. So it obviously does have some sort of benefit, and lots of, you know, cities have told their people, because it's, in a lot of cities, it's the number one complaint. They said, like, we can't enforce or arrest our way out of the homeless issue. Like, that's just not a solution. Oh, I don't know. I think this is a good step. Oh,
because if it's not a violent crime, it's almost like, then what? Now, how much money do you want to spend housing these people in jail? Even if you could, now what's the expense to that for every single one of them? Right? It's almost like, and I hate to say it because this is not how I feel. I feel like you can spend your way out of that problem if it's done properly. If the money is spent right way and you have the right oversight.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, California spends enough money right now to fix it. They're just spending it all on salaries for people to talk about how to fix it.
Like the committees. We need. All right.
Yeah, where they're making, you know, $300,000 a year to figure out what they're going to do about Skid Row, and then Skid Row gets worse. Like, oh well, we need retention bonuses so we can keep talking about this. Like,
But now the bubonic plague has come back.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, you know, we need a study on how to combat that plague now, because you know,
well, one of my goals is to, like, try and garner community support would be to illustrate to people, like, in town, that these aren't strangers. Like, these are locals. These are, like, people that you might have known, or, like, your neighbor growing up, because obviously, like, there are some pretty, like, habitual bad decisions being made. But if you look at where we were, you know, in the last 20 years, like, it could have been me. Like, it could have been, I've made good decisions, it could have been, like, one bad decision. Like, when I got out of the Army and I was having a hard time, and I went to the VA, and you know, this was in 2010, and they were really pushing those very addictive drugs, like, pretty hardcore on prescriptions back then. So I got out of the Army, and I'm like, hey man, I'm having a hard time. I'm super stressed out. I can't sleep. And the VA doctor's like, oh, don't worry, I got you. And he wrote me 4 prescriptions for narcotics, like, with knowing nothing else about me. So if I had trusted my doctor, I'm like, okay, well, this must be what's going to work. And then I start taking these super addictive, hardcore drugs for 2 years. And then, you know, 2 years later, 2012, and they just cut everybody off cold turkey on drugs that they knew were addictive, but they were getting kickbacks, you know, to get more prescriptions filled. That could have been me. Like, I don't know that I'm immune to that. Like, so it sucks, and it's the property crime and the filth. It's all super frustrating. But if you want to actually fix it, like, we're having these problems with human beings, and some of them, it is absolutely their fault. And even when it wasn't their fault to start, like, now you have some agency, like, you need to be making better choices. But I think some sort of, like, empathy and human connection is necessary if you're actually going to be serious about fixing the problem.
Yeah, I think I don't understand how people can't. I don't understand how people don't have empathy.
Right.
Like, I get there are certain people that, like, in life, they, like, nothing really. They've had it not easy. just like they've had life the way that I guess it should be, right?
Right. And everything just makes sense.
And so like their choices make sense. Like, hey, I make good decisions, right? Because I seen that my parents made good decisions, and look at what they got from it, right?
Right.
And I benefited from those things, right? I benefited from having a home and not having a bare refrigerator, like having, my mom could give me $20 here, $20 here, whenever. Like I would never had to you never had to like struggle.
Right.
So you're predispositioned to always make the right decision, right? Not that you
Yeah.
always did, but you never made the big mistakes because you never were put in that situation to make them, right?
Right. When you watch your parents make the good choices, then it makes sense to make good choices.
Right. And that's good for you. And that is something like that I will say on that, and that like there are people that don't do that too, that have every ability and they've had everything given to them, right?
Right.
So I do think that people that are homeless though, like there has to be this, yes, they have to make a decision at a certain point to say, okay, hey, listen, like I've got to stop. I've got to. This revolving door of what I'm doing has to stop at some point, right? But everybody needs help, And so to just turn your back on people because the problem's out of control, like they get what they deserve. I mean, hey, honestly, is that the truth? If we're going to speak truth, yes. But as a Christian, is that the right thing to do?
Right. Thank God we don't always just get what we deserve.
Yeah, because all of us should be there in that position then. You know what I mean? And if you don't have empathy, then you're just as bad as them. You're just not in the same physical situation.
Right.
Like shame on you. Like shame on you.
Whoever's without sin, you throw the first stone, like.
And they would.
Yeah. Just like otherwise.
There's people that would.
Yeah.
And that's the one thing about the party that I identify with that I struggle with the most.
Yeah.
Like I love being conservative. I'm more independent, but dang, that's the one thing, man. It's just like I understand like Republicans are all about individual responsibility, right? And that's fine. And you want to plug that into people's minds that are able to hear it at a young age, and you want to keep that going, right? But it doesn't mean you give up on the people that didn't take that responsibility.
Right.
Because it's like you're not helping society as a whole. It's only going to get worse if you don't figure out like what the problem, how to fix the problem. So
exactly.
Like we don't really have like in here in this small town, we don't. Man, honestly, we don't have our. I don't. And maybe I'm just blind to it. I honestly haven't found one homeless person in my town.
Really?
Of 10,000 people, like. I have not really seen one. Like I'm not kidding. Like I honestly haven't. Like I think our town they are put in housing. Like they are housed.
Yeah.
Or they're maybe in a bigger town, 30 minutes. Either way, we have towns that are like 100,000 and then 50 or 60, like a half hour, 45 minutes away. That's probably where they are.
Yeah.
So we don't see it as much, which really is a blessing, but.
And obviously like where I'm at, like the housing cost is well below California average, but they released a study showing like, okay, based on the average home price in California, you need to be making over $200,000 a year to afford the average home price in California. Like, well, the average income is like, it's like 60. I think it's like 50.
Is that household or is that
household income is like 60 something. I think in Redding it's 55. Here it's even lower than that. So like even if our housing is well below average, there's no way that the average household income can support buying a reasonable home, let alone if like, you grew up homeless or so you just were never introduced to working or stable housing, or if you lost your home in 2008, good luck getting it back, like.
Yeah, that's never going to happen. So.
Yeah.
Well, and I don't know what they were talking about because, I'm just jumping things here. I saw a report, the third, whatever the quarter is. What quarter are we in? Second quarter, third? I don't know what quarter we're in.
Should be
fiscally or whatever.
Oh, well, I guess it depends. Some people still do like January to December, but a lot of government, it's like July is the new fiscal year. So I guess this would be second quarter.
Whatever the quarter was, I was watching on the Fox News, whatever it was. They were saying like the GDP per whatever the thing is was like crazy, like over 3%, like almost 4%.
Really?
I'm thinking like that's not a good thing, because usually when you have really good GDP, the Feds
inflation should be going down.
It's not, though. The inflation is not going down at the rate that the GDP is rising. But the
Right.
issue is about housing is if the Feds decide to lower those interest rates, like the rich and the poor during this whole pandemic, right? It's like, especially in California, like the housing prices, right? Let's say like a house right now is $900,000, right? You can't afford it anyways, right? It doesn't matter. But the moment, like right now, like the percentage on the housing, rates are 6, 7, 8%, right? If they drop it down to 4 or 3%, it doesn't matter, because
Right.
once that happens, that house that's now 900,000 is going to be like 1.3 million.
Right.
Just because, and so what does it matter? You couldn't afford the house at 900,000. What makes you think you're going to afford the house that's now 1.3 at a smaller interest rate? It doesn't matter. All it's doing is just taking the poor, and it's just the rich are just getting richer.
Right, because even if the prices went down significantly, that just kind of opens the floodgates for more real estate investments from big corporations and the already super wealthy. And then you look at I think it was 2 years ago now, but like 20% of all private home sales in America were purchased by BlackRock. Like 20% of every private home was purchased by this huge corporation. So it doesn't matter where the prices go. There's a multi-billion-dollar company just waiting to buy that home so that you can't.
So there's like 3 or 4 companies: BlackRock, Vanguard. I don't know. There's another couple, right? But these 3 companies or 4, right? They're all kind of the same company.
Yeah.
But check this out. They own like 70% of the S&P 500.
Oh, that's right. They're like majority shareholders of all these companies.
Yeah. So pretty much, and I think it was either Vanguard or whatever the other company you just said. I watched an article on like their CEO, and he's like part of like this world view, like
World Economic Forum
committee.
Yeah.
And their whole idea is to like reset everything so that everyone, like a level playing field. Well, no duh. Now it makes sense, because if those entities own 70 to 80% of the S&P 500, and they're buying up all of the family market real estate, that's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Because that's what's going to happen. Once the rates go down, dude, they're gonna swoop in, and they're going to buy everything up. And the only people it's going to be the rich that have that. Just the American dream won't be attainable anymore. That's the crazy part. I understand, like, okay, you're a millionaire, you live in $1 million home. Hey, we all want that, right?
Right.
And at a time, it was possible to achieve that, right? And it always is. There's always that opportunity, but it's just
that's the exception, not the rule now. Yeah. Yeah. Now, if you're breaking into that, you're the fluke. Like, you're the fault in the new design, not how it used to be designed. Klaus Schwab's vision for 2030 is that you'll own nothing and you'll be happy, and we'll all be crickets or something.
Right. Is my internet breaking up, or is it yours?
It's probably both of ours, but like I said, it'll turn out just fine. Like, I know your audio has been like pausing, and then I'll start to talk and then realize that it was just buffering, but I think it'll all work out. I mean, I've never used it before, so we'll see. Sorry, when I lost you, I paused the recording, so it had to count down to start a new session.
No, I took off my. I don't know if my Wi-Fi. I don't know if it was my Wi-Fi or not. I just took it off. I'm off. I'm going on my off my phone data.
Oh, okay. Well, so I know we had talked about like covering a lot of things from like 9/11, JFK. Yeah. I wanted to start with like Israel, because dang, is it. Because we had talked about doing this, I think it's been like 3 or 4 weeks now, and it just keeps getting crazier. Like, I watch this YouTube channel, Angry Cops, and he does like military and law enforcement humor and news and stuff. And he did a video the other day talking about how he was reading these 2 memos from 2 different branches. And he goes, well, that's odd. So CENTCOM for the Marine Corps, who is in charge of the Middle East, they released a memo. So the Marine Corps birthday is coming up, and the Marines are nuts about the Marine Corps birthday. Like,
Okay.
forever. Like, it doesn't matter how long you've been out. That's more important than your own birthday, the Marine Corps birthday. Well, they're canceling the Marine Corps ball because of operational necessities. It's like, well, that's odd.
There?
In the Middle East. So if you're stationed there, no more party for you. And so the Marine Corps birthday, I think, is coming up next week. He was just wondering, like, okay, well, why do we have to cancel their birthday because of operational needs? And then there were these rumors about sending Marines into Gaza. And then he pulled up another memo from the Air Force, basically just like mandating these 400 airmen go to recruiter school all of a sudden, like whether they were changing their classification, some were getting ready to start like drill instructor school or special assignments. They just took 400 people, like, nope, we need a boost in recruitment. So we're going to send you all to recruiting school. And if you can get this many people to commit in your first year as a recruiter, you'll make E7, which is like a senior NCO. So you basically like get 2 promotions in the course of a year through going through the recruiter school and then getting these recruits signed up for the Air Force. Like, you get 2 very hard to get promotions in the Air Force. So it just paints a picture of like a buildup, like real soon. And it's just so crazy. And then you've got these Iranian drones that are, I don't know what, like, they never specify if they're like dropping bombs or if they're like flying over US bases and dropping grenades. But there was that initial report saying that 24 service members had been injured on bases in the Middle East. And I think 1 civilian contractor was killed. Well, now they're saying it wasn't 24, it's more like 48 or 50. And it keeps happening. And
I read that too.
Like,
my opinion on that is how I don't understand like how our president like that, like, I get like this is why you can't have a president this is why it's frustrating to me what we have, right? I honestly, I would take any other Democrat as president right now that's coherent,
right?
Because politics are politics. I get it, right? But dude, you have service members in other countries, right, that are being killed, right? And not our doing. It's just this is boiling over from this war activity, but they're doing it on purpose because they know that the person that's in charge of our country isn't going to do a goddamn thing about it.
Yeah. And so after that happened, there was like a report saying that we took out an Iranian ammunition depot in Syria, I think. Like, oh, okay, finally we're going to get something started. Like, I am not hawkish. I am not wanting to go to war. Like, but if you mess with our troops, like, F around and find out. Like, we have the capacity and the craziness to flatten you. So when they took out that ammunition depot, I'm like, okay, let's go. And then that was it. Like, wait a second. So they hurt our service members and we blow up like their bullets. Like, screw that. Like, I value human life. I don't want unnecessary death, but if you're going to target our soldiers, like, all bets are off. Like, I don't care about flattening ammunition depot. Like, we're going to flatten a base. We're going to flatten a government building. Like, your capital is gone. Your palace is gone. Like, you don't get to do that and just pretend that, like, what are you going to do? Like, if it's F around and find out, it's time to start finding out. Like, so that was frustrating. That's all it was.
Well, that's why when Trump came into office, right, he pretty much bombed the heck out of Syria, right? well, not the heck out of, but because Obama kept saying, "Oh, you do this, you use chemical weapons. There's a red line. You're going to cross it. Something's going to
Right.
happen." Nothing
And then
happened,
nothing
right?
happened.
So Trump comes in. He's like, "No, no, no, no." Like he did that. I don't think he honestly wanted to, but he did it to show the strength, right?
Right.
And he was right to do it, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, people could argue against it. Why is it our business or whatever? Well, he did it to prove a point as president. Hey, like, you're not messing with us. And when I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it, right?
Right.
This is my thought on this. I'm not the arbiter of truth, right? And as a Christian, I have history to go back on, right? Yeah, God is a God of love. Jesus came to save the sinners. But I'm going to tell you, there's also another God that we see in that Bible.
Mm-hmm.
That when people messed with his people, like with Israel, dude, he did not freaking mess around, dude. That guy wiped out everything.
Right.
Women, children, everybody. And with Netanyahu, thank God that he's not the almighty leader of that country that he can unilaterally do whatever he wants, because I guarantee if he was, that whole strip would be destroyed.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, because honestly, look, like, and this is my opinion on that. If you went through, if I was a Jewish leader knowing our history, and I was a leader and I was conservative, and I know what our history is, and I know that anyone that's not Jewish is pretty much an enemy, like, I wouldn't mess around. I'd be like, no, I don't care. Like, I tell the people, I'm going to give you 48 hours to get out, and if you don't, it's on you guys. Honestly, I'm done. This strip is gone. It's done. We're done with it. I'm bombing it all. Everyone there's dying dead. And at that point, it would put everyone on notice, right? And as Americans, we're supposed to be their allies.
Yeah.
And when that war is starting to spill over into our troops, the least we can do is show some type of force of strength,
Mm-hmm.
so that they stop doing it to our troops.
Yeah.
Right? Because, I mean, I feel bad for Israel, man. Honestly, and here's the other thing, what you were saying about that. Like, I honestly think, like, we have so many representatives in our government that are pro-Palestine. This is why I think our president or whoever's running this country, they don't do anything, because I really think that they're taking the Palestinian side. So for them to, like, want to make a move, it's going to come across like, oh, they're going against the Palestinians.
Well, there's been, like, whistleblowers who have just come out and said, like, we are legitimately funding both sides. Like, obviously, Israel is in every way, including on paper, they are our ally. We are the biggest contributor to the success of their military, their Iron Dome systems. Like, we are their ally. But there's evidence to suggest that we are also arming Hamas and Hezbollah, and through crazy, shady CIA, whatever, like, we fund it all because at the end of the day, we win.
Well, it's like going back to, like, our own country, like when we, like, infiltrated, like, the ghettos and
Right.
delivered cocaine and narcotics. Like, that was the government doing that, right?
Yep.
And the government, albeit not always the brightest or most useful tool in the shed, right? They know what they're doing. You know what I mean? Like, they know what they're doing. And I think what's happening now is, I think that it's coming to, like, the things are coming to light.
Mm-hmm.
I think, like you said, right, like, they're playing both sides, and it's obvious. But it's like, for me as a citizen, it's like I still want to take the word for it. Oh, like, they're our allies. Okay, perfect. Like, me and you we're friends, right? God, if I saw you getting beat up, I'm sorry. Like, if you were getting beat up, I'd come out with some force and be like, get the hell off of him. Like, no.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not gonna, like, play both sides. Like, oh, like, you know, we got to break this up. And there's no. If we're their allies and they're messing with our ally, like, no, you got to have their back. And so, no wonder what you just said. It makes sense. Like, why we're just like, oh, yeah, some of our troops were injured, or maybe they were killed. It's the price of us being in the Middle East, I guess. That's how I feel. Like, they explain it away. But what you're saying is more nefarious, obviously.
Yeah.
But
Oh, and I don't know, man. Like, it's been proven. Like, I know that we've done it in other places, so it's hard to say, like, okay, well, we wouldn't do it this time, though. Like, and I do believe that America, like, as a government, wants Israel to win and will ensure that they do. But I think, so there's that layer on top, our representatives and the things of government that we see that look horribly incompetent and completely nonsensical and asinine. But then the layer underneath of, the quote unquote deep state, the people who run these decisions through multiple administrations, like, they're not stupid. Like, they know what they're doing. It's like, yes, we want Israel to win, but we don't want them to win in a week. We want them to win in a year.
or 2 years, or 5 years,
because the military industrial complex is this unstoppable monster that we were warned about, almost 80 years ago now. And that, many people, not just in Congress, but in government in general, have a vested interest. It's a revolving door between these government positions and these corporate positions. So now you are a lobbyist for Raytheon going to the government, and then you leave Raytheon, and now you work in the government making policies that would govern Raytheon, like, and not just Raytheon, Boeing, and so obviously there's a built-in corruption and incentive program for conflicts to take a lot longer than they used to. With Ukraine, and every time anybody's ever been in the Middle East, we know it's not a quick conflict. Oh, it's just all. So I don't know. Like, even.
What do you think of the new speaker? What do you like? Did you like that he no new funding? He said, no, we're not funding. There's no more money for Syria, or sorry, for Ukraine. There's no more money for Ukraine.
I love it. I've kind of taken a break from news since I started the new job, because I've just been like overwhelmed with all this information. So like, I saw his first speech, and I've seen some like little updates and stuff. So I did see like a snippet about what he was saying about the budget and like how we need to get our own house in order. I'm all for what he's saying. I'm just so cynical at this point. Like, well, does it really matter what he says? Like, whatever he passes here still has to get through here. And Biden is still like unilaterally like approving this type of money. And it's just, I like what he's saying. So yeah, I guess short answer is yes, I do like it. I've lost a lot of faith that, like, regardless of what well-intentioned person is in this position of authority, like, they're not going to be able to push through what actually needs to happen.
Well, you're probably right. You're probably right. It does. I mean, at the end of the day, though, at least there's some. I mean, there's got to be some honest people that are pushing back, because,
right.
You know what I mean. And I like that they're trying to do like the one line vote, to where no, we vote for one thing, and then you either vote yes or no, because then you know who's for it and who's against it. It's not like a bunch of stuff's in there, right? And then it gets muddied, right?
Yeah, and
of course I want this. I want funding for I want the funding for the government, but I don't want funding to go to Ukraine.
Right.
Like, of course, you know what I mean? Like, so, like, I like that they're trying to at least tell the administration enough's enough of the money going to Ukraine. Like, that's not our business anymore. Like,
right.
Like, that's what's frustrating to me, is we have a crisis here, and we're just sending all this money. And for me, it's just like, it's the clearest laundering. Like, if there was if you could just define how a government can launder money, it would be through wartime, right?
Right.
And this is just, it's like, okay, the pandemic, all right. How do we make money for corporations? How do we give people more power that don't need any more of it?
Right.
We're going to create a pandemic, all right. And now that's over with, right? For now. So now this Ukraine-Russia war, oh man, let's funnel a bunch of money there, right?
Yep. And the thing is
Always.
that they don't have to talk about it. They don't have to disclose it. It's this 1,000-page document. And so as part of our national defense budget, we need to spend $12 billion to pay the retirement salaries for Ukrainian government officials. Like,
Dude,
not
F
a
that. That's the
single person in
stupidest
the
thing.
country would believe that that's a good use of our money, or that makes any sense. To like, our roads are crap, our bridges are falling apart, our income is down, our inflation is up. Like, we're in a bad spot. But yes, as part of our national defense, we need to pay $12 billion in retirement salaries for one of the most corrupt countries in the world.
This is what I think. I think the money that's being laundered is not is not only being laundered to Ukraine, but that money is also being laundered to Russia. The reason why I think that is, and this is what I believe wholeheartedly, right, is Biden is compromised and his whole family's compromised.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think, and I don't have proof, obviously, that's why.
Well, you know,
I'm a nobody. I'm a nobody citizen from here, from Texas, but it's just money given to them just to keep quiet about whatever issues or whatever things that our government has done or is doing or has done in the past. That's what I think.
This is going a little off topic, but it's still Middle East related, so I'm going to say it. That's exactly how I feel about Saudi Arabia. I mean, no matter what the human rights violations are, no matter what they're doing to their people, that when we see other countries doing it, we call it out and we sanction them. We don't do it to Saudi Arabia because we know that they know, like, that we had talked about this with 9/11 and how the majority of the hijackers were from Saudi Arabia being paid by Saudi intelligence, and Saudi intelligence was being paid by U.S. intelligence. So there's that trail that, like, maybe we didn't exactly know what was happening, but we definitely should have, and we probably paid for it. And so Saudi Arabia has some of our dirty little secrets, so they kind of do whatever they want, and we don't say shit about it, because if we call them out, they're going to call us out, and then the whole thing's up.
Did you watch? Oh gosh, who was Bush Jr.'s vice president?
Dick Cheney.
Did you watch Cheney? Did you watch that movie?
No, I've started it twice. Dude, I still haven't finished it.
Dude, I watched it and I was like, wow. Like, if you want an explanation of exactly how our government was involved with that, it all ties back to Cheney. 100%. Really? Yeah, oh yeah. Yeah. So
because Cheney, he had a big investment in like Halliburton, right? And that was like the contractor.
Because he was an executive for Halliburton before he became vice president.
Okay.
And then that's when and see, with Bush, honestly, this is my opinion with Bush. I think he didn't know. I love Bush. I think, like, he's one of those guys that, like, how do I feel? How do I say this? It's like it's like Kennedy, right? It's like Kennedy. Like, Kennedy was a good. I felt like Kennedy, honestly, was probably a good guy, right? Mm-hmm. But I think, like, no matter what, the government, that shadow government, is always running. Yeah. It's always running, and it's churning, right? But with Cheney, he was part of that. Cheney was part of that churning, because he convinced Bush that there was weapons of mass destruction in Iraq, which had nothing to do with 9/11. They had nothing to do with 9/11. Zero. Yeah. I mean, maybe they housed some of those terrorists for training, but it wasn't like their leader wasn't the one that orchestrated it, right?
Yeah, Iraq was completely nonsensical, but if you can come up with something while the American people are super angry and want to go hit something, let's give them something to hit.
So that movie, go watch it. It implies that Cheney, like, he orchestrated 9/11 and orchestrated the weapons of mass destruction, and then guess who benefited the most? Halliburton did. Yep. From the oil.
That's so crazy.
Yeah. Okay, and here's the other thing. I think I might have told on the last podcast or the last episode we talked about this. Rumsfeld, the day before 9/11. Did you watch it? Did you watch it?
I've seen the clip of his interview. Like,
Dude,
shit.
it's like it's even back then like that. It was that obvious they didn't even care. Like, not
right.
a true trolley went missing. We don't know where it went, and then boom, the next day, destroyed the Pentagon.
Now you'll never know where it went.
And you're never gonna know, right? It's like, dude, and then now with Ukraine, we're doing the same thing. It's just we're funneling the money that we're going to send them 500 billion. No, it's not 500 billion.
Right.
If it's 500, it's probably 2 or 3 times that amount.
Right.
You know,
because I mean, you're thinking about like, okay, $2 trillion went missing in 2001. Like, how much do you think is missing right now?
Oh, dude.
When the DOD can't pass an audit to save their lives, like they've failed the last 5 audits. They can't account for 60% of their assets. And those are just the budgets that we know about. There's still black budgets where we don't even know the numbers. Like,
right. And this is why when they audit regular citizens or small businesses, right, they're going to come after that. They're going to come after it, right? Because they're going to get their money somehow, right? They've already said, "Oh, that money is going to the it's gone. We're never going to." That's why we're going to hire 80,000 new IRS agents, right, for the wealthy.
Right.
Dude, no. You already have enough agents to go after those ultra wealthy. There's not that many of them.
Yeah. How about you just hire 10,000 just to audit yourself and figure out where the tax dollars are going?
Yeah, right. I mean, it's, to me, it's just, and now you're hiring, and then you're having to pay all of them.
Yeah, and you can't get rid of them.
And they're government pensions. That's the thing. It's not just like a normal job where like, oh, we need to hire some part-time people or temp positions.
Right.
Okay, well, the money stops after they leave. No, it's forever and ongoing. These people are going to have benefits, for themselves and their family. I'm not saying that they don't deserve it. It's not their fault.
Right. They want to get a job.
It's just, dude, our government is not run for the people at all.
Yeah.
It's run for themselves.
By the government, for the government, yeah.
It's so ridiculous, man.
Yeah.
But anyways, back to Israel.
I got to wrap up in a couple minutes though, and then we'll have to do another one about JFK because I've been thinking a lot about that one too.
So we just watched I think it was on either Hulu or Netflix. I think it was Hulu. Like, they have a JFK documentary that just came out.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we've been watching it.
Okay.
And I watched the like how he drove around, and I just thought, I told Amber, I said, "You're telling me that just some nobody guy just happened to find the perfect eye shot, like, for his shot, right? And all of the cars, their tops were down, right? They said that the president wanted it that way. You don't think nobody was, like, no one was tipped off of that? Like,
right.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, I just don't know what to think of it. I mean, it's crazy. I've been reading into this stuff. I've been going down. I'm just like, dude, I hate to say it, I'm so excited to, like, get into it because it's like, damn, our government, dude, like,
it's crazy.
Our government assassinated our president. I don't care what anyone says anymore. I believe that 100%. And because I believe that now, everything else from that point on,
right?
I don't know what to like.
Everything's possible. Yeah.
Stolen elections, 9/11,
yep.
UFOs. I don't know, dude. Like, I mean, I'm a Christian. I don't believe in that stuff. I don't believe in, like, aliens. But, so that I don't know if it's too much of. I think it's a smokescreen. But if you don't have any type of, like, Christian value or, like, you believe in, like, yeah, if I was just a normal, like, Joe that just didn't have any type of, like, religious, I'd be like, yeah, the government, dude. Like, there's UFOs.
They've got him.
Was killed. I mean, and here's the thing, is we know that the mob had infiltrated our government.
Right.
During especially because Kennedy's dad had big ties to the mob.
Oh,
and
really?
Of course, Jack Ruby was the one that shot, what's his name? Was the one that shot the sniper.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like you're telling me he just did that out of his own free will, like just killed that guy. So I think he killed him so he couldn't talk.
Yeah.
That's what I think. I think there was something there with that guy and the mob and the government, and now you're gonna have to shoot him, and this is the deal we have. It's gonna get cleaned up, and it is what it is, you know. So that even goes back to Lincoln. Like, when does this stuff? When does this stuff actually? When did
I hadn't
this
even
stuff
thought
start?
about that. Oh
When
my
did it start?
gosh.
Did it start there? Was it before that? I mean, who knows? Like, you know what I mean? Like, has there always been a shadow behind everything? Like this control that's been going on? I don't know. Probably not. But
I'm gonna go play
knows?
Assassin's Creed and
dude,
the Knights Templar.
It's crazy. But ultimately, back to Israel. Like, if I'm Netanyahu, I thank God I'm not. I would the moment that I saw those videos of what they did to those children and those women,
yeah.
nah. Did you watch or not watch it, but that baby they put inside that oven?
No.
Like, they put a live baby in an oven. And the crazy part is Amber was showing me, she's like, I didn't even realize it. She's like, when they took the baby out, it had like those, like when you put like something in the oven, like on the rack, it had those rack marks on that baby. Yeah. See, for me, like if that was us and something happened to us like that on our soil, like, I'm sorry, like,
you're done. That's
it.
There's
It's over with.
Nothing's too far.
Care,
like,
I don't care what you think. I don't care if you think that I'm some type of war criminal monster. It doesn't matter. That's never happening again.
Right.
Or you got to be stupid.
Yeah.
Because if we just obliterated a whole country, like, you got to be stupid to do it again.
Right.
And I think that's like where I wonder what God thinks about this, because no matter what, yes, God came to save everyone, but the Jewish people are still his people. That will never change. I mean, Jesus was Jewish. I mean, so I'm having a hard time understanding. Like, I'm waiting for God to do something to Hamas or that area.
Yeah.
And I don't know when or what's going to happen. But dude, this crap's getting really close to end times, in my opinion.
Right.
So, I mean, I'm kind of like one of those like Christians that like, all right, let's move this along. I'm ready to go. When's the
let's just get it over with. Yeah.
This is getting too crazy. Let's just go now.
Like,
right. Every once in a while, like, I'll turn the news on. I'll look up, like, are we going yet, God? Is this
Here it comes.
Let's go. You know, like, and I mean that, but I mean it for. I feel bad for people that are stuck there.
Yeah.
There's people that were on vacation there, like people that from the States that went there that, you know, that grew up in Gaza.
Right.
And they just happened to vacation. There's been no issues for years. They grew up
right.
there. So they're going to visit family and they get stuck there and this happens, you know?
Yeah.
It's disgusting. And my stomach turns when I see like our capital is just ran over with these like pro-Palestinian protesters that are literally chanting for the extermination of the Jews. It's like, how do we, I mean, we literally, like, I'm just confused, man. Like, I've lost a lot of pride in our country.
Yeah.
Like not lost pride in our country. I know what our country stands for, or what it should stand for.
Right, the foundation and the values, but not necessarily their current representations.
It's sad. It's really sad, and damn, it's a machine, bro. And I feel bad for the people that, like my buddy Josiah. I gotta send you his. He has like his channel and he does his podcast every day and he posts about Israel. Yeah. Nice. So my buddy Josiah, I know you gotta go, but my buddy Josiah, and I'll send you his Instagram or whatever.
Okay.
He used to be. I went to school with him, but then he went in the army and he was special forces. Got out, and then he was like I don't know if he's still a sheriff now, but was a sheriff for the LA Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department. And now he moved to San Diego. I think he is the sheriff for San Diego now. But he ran for office in San Diego, didn't win. This last, I think it was a year ago or 2 years ago, when whenever he was running for the state assembly or whatever it was. But he's posting on this, and he's a Christian father, and that channel is awesome. He's pushes back, like, and I feel bad for him because I know he's trying really hard in a state that really it's not going to matter,
right?
In my opinion, I ran away, but he's trying to make a difference, right? But at the end of the day, I would never tell him this. I just think, dude, almost you're doing this in vain. But we need
somebody's
people
got
like
to,
you,
I guess.
And we can't give up, right? As Americans, as Christians, to say, hey, this is right and this is wrong, right? And what's going on right now with our government, our country, and the way that we're representing our allies, we're messing up, man. We're dropping the ball here, you know. But it almost feels like it does. You're just treading water,
right?
And I thank God for him, but I feel bad. I feel bad for the real patriots that are out there trying to help, and it's just like it's a sad time,
Yeah. I mean, if I could afford it, I would just move away too. Like, I don't know, man. Like, it's like you said, like, it doesn't matter how many small conservative towns there are or how many people like are standing up for the right thing. There's still like just, LA, Sacramento, San Francisco, you're not turning those cities like, and that's where all the decisions are made. So.
Yeah, and they don't care. They don't care.
Yeah.
They honestly don't. Like, there are probably a lot of people that care about the issues that are going on, like Austin. Like, so here's the thing, like in our state, Austin, right, is a huge homeless, huge homeless population, right? Those people, like, especially the ultra, like liberal, I guess, they don't care. They just accept them. Like, oh no, like they're just part of our community. It's okay. Like, we're okay with it, and it's like, when are we going to take pride? Like, help them. Like,
right. Would you want to live like that? Yeah.
No. Like, help them then. That's fine. Like, but just don't, like, sit there and tell our next generations, like, our children and their children, like, it's okay to be homeless. Accept them. Hey, I understand, like, the love, right? You want to have love for everyone, but there's ramifications to those things that you aren't going to, you think it's bad now, just wait 2 or 3 generations. Like, it's going to be godless, and people are going to have zero. They're going to have no hope.
Yeah.
None.
Right.
Those homeless people are going to have no hope, And, I mean, that's what's happening, like, New York and these other areas. Like, now they're all saying, don't come. Don't come anymore. We can't handle this. We can't take you on anymore.
Yeah.
Like, okay, well, what's the alternative? Because you telling them not to come is not going to stop.
Yeah.
So, I don't know, man. I don't care anymore. Like, when I come across people that are I honestly, like, I wish you could see me sometimes when there's people that start talking liberal things to me. Like, I'm getting to that point now, like, in my 40s, I don't give a shit. Like, I just tell myself, like, seriously, like, we can argue abortion, whatever. We can argue these things, whatever. I'm not opposed to it, but don't defend being homeless as it's okay.
Right.
Don't defend that, breaking and entering and stealing things, it's okay because they're just trying to survive. No, it's not. It's wrong, 100%. Like they shouldn't be doing it. Like,
right. Like, well, love them or hate them, however you want to treat it, we should be able to agree on the fact that we don't want these people to be homeless. We don't want people to be addicted to drugs.
But they're accepting, like, if they want it and they're okay with it, then let them be. Like, no, you don't understand what that's going to do to society.
Yeah.
Like, I understand you're trying to think, like, you don't want to get in their business. But it's like, also, it takes a toll on our resources.
Right.
Like, and to what end? To what end? Till we have nothing? Till everyone's poor?
Yeah.
I mean, you know what I mean? So, like, I'm just, like, with people like that, like people I talk to, just let them come through the border. It's okay. Like, we have abundance. Like, then let them come to your home, honestly.
Yeah.
Let them come to your home. Why don't you give them your job then?
Yeah.
Why don't you give them a piece of your pie instead of everyone else's? Like the moment you start asking them that, no, they're no. Well, we'll give them a bunch of programs.
Right.
Okay, I'm fine with that. I'm honestly okay with that, but there's no oversight.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Where's the money
the
going?
government funds it. The government funds those things, and they say, "Oh, we're doing these. We're spending all this money to help," but they're not really. It's just another way for them to give money to.
It's another reason to grow the government. Yeah.
It's so frustrating, and it's just like that's why you move to a state that has respect for law enforcement, that tells people, "Hey, listen, you're homeless. It's not okay. Wake the hell up. We want to help
Right.
you." But you need to want to wake up and need help, right? We want to help.
Yeah, if you don't want to choose
states,
sobriety, then we have a place for you to go where you'll get sober one way or the other.
So for full circle, I want to let you know I appreciate that you actually have this job. I honestly am so thankful that I know that someone that's actually going to be giving the government money that's going to someone is actually going to someone that really wants to help change the issue and
Right.
help the problem, right?
Well, thank you.
So, no, really, I mean, I don't live there anymore, but it does give me some type of faith that at least locally that some leaders are trying to find the right people to help that government entity or your position or whatever work the way that it's supposed to on paper.
Right.
So, thank you.
Thanks.
So on the next one, whenever that will be,
mm-hmm.
What are we going to talk about? We're going to talk about. You said JFK.
I think we could probably do a whole topic like just for JFK and how it relates to RFK Jr. now. Like,
I love RFK Jr., dude.
Yeah.
I like that guy, man.
Hopefully, it won't take as long to get the next one going, but.
Right. No, I get it.
But my iPad's about to die.
I know. I think the other thing too is like because we're catching up too, just me and you.
Yeah, right.
Like for about 30, 40 minutes, just on things like that have nothing to do with the podcast. So
right. I like it.
I don't mind it. You know what I mean? So
yeah, I think we should do this on a regular basis. Like, this is fun.
I enjoy it, man. It's nice to have conversations like this with somebody that wants to talk about it.
Right.
There's some people I'll start talking to them and I can just tell they're like
waiting for it to be over. Yeah.
I don't want to talk about government conspiracies. I want to go enjoy my beer and I worked hard all day long. I don't want to talk about that. Like, you know what I mean? So
yeah.
It's like talking to people about insurance. Like, I'm excited about it. I know they are.
Oh, man.
But anyways, I appreciate this. I was so excited. I'm sorry we couldn't do this last week or whenever it was.
Yeah.
But I'm glad that we were able to get this done and get it going. And I'm excited to let's do this next week or whenever,
Okay. And
you're not on a time constraint. What do you got going on right now? You gotta check on the kids or what?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Nicole and Addison just got home, and the way that I had to set up tonight, I didn't charge the iPad before, so I got a couple % left before it goes down. I just wasn't as well prepared as I should have been.
I appreciate that, and I appreciate you, not being prepared for your guest. Thank you. That's awesome. No, I was going to stop it. I was going to stop anyways because I was getting really close to like this cigar being done, and
it's a good timer.
No, because I have more here. I was just like, this was $20, and then I have these other ones that are like 8 to 10. I'm like, shoot, that's $30 like just one sitting. I usually don't smoke 2 cigars.
Gotta space it out.
So yeah, I'll save them for the other podcast. So
okay.
Anyways, all right, man, that was awesome. Thanks for having me on again.
Yeah, I'll talk to you again soon, and we'll set up the next one.
All right. Bye. All right.
Later.
See ya.